back for us. I thank y'all for coming for the part 2. It's more. It's like God's just like spilling it out. Like
downloading.
It got longer than we expected. I said stuff I didn't even know I was gonna say, but we got real hot and real honest, and we're gonna continue for the part 2. So thank y'all for coming back. Please like, comment, share with your family and your friends, and we love y'all. See you at part 2. So that goes to the next thing.
So we're gonna check out.
I always do that. I always do that.
So yeah, so I mean, it's all great. I'm glad that it all goes together. So we're gonna check out some factors for successful teamwork. I put down there the citation where I got some of this stuff from. So there are a few C's. So the first C is commitment, and basically saying your vows and meaning them.
Yeah.
So death do its part, thick and thin. And it's hard because after a while, people just are saying vows remote like a robot.
Like a robot.
I'm starting to hear that now.
Yeah.
Like, it's like no judgment, but it's just like, do you really mean what you're saying?
You know what? I just got a vision of when you said that.
What?
Like, if we were to, like, every person that's about to get married, they sit and actually write it out.
Yeah. And
then circle the words for better or worse, or other parts, and say, what does better mean to you?
That.
And what does worse mean to you? That's too much. That's too much. Because I know some men have an issue with their women gaining more than 10 pounds while they're with them.
And that's what we're talking about.
And some men be like, I'm out. After you get honest and you gain 10 pounds, deuces. Wow. If you don't know that's his worst.
Why'd you say it? Why'd you say it?
I'm just saying. We all have our better for worse.
Yeah.
But, I just thought about that when you said it. I was like, man, what if we did that? Bruh, a lot of people would get married.
A lot of them. Because you be
who
too
would have
real.
like horses. Yeah.
It's like, wow. Yeah, so I like the ending of this verse right here, Genesis 2:24-25. This is the reason that a man leaves his father and mother and embraces his wife, and they become one flesh. The two of them were naked, the man and his wife, but they weren't embarrassed. I like that last verse because that's basically what a committed marriage is. I could be naked in front of Sierra and not be embarrassed. Like, here's all my insecurities, here's my faults, here's my weaknesses. With you, I'm hoping that I could turn these into strengths. Yeah. And I'm not gonna be embarrassed about it. If you don't have that trust, you can't do that.
You can't build that. And
I
think for us, we trust each other for the good times. Yeah. We didn't know how to trust each other through a lot of the bad times. Yes. We knew how to be there, but we didn't know how to be there in different scenarios because we were young. And so as we grew, I think we learned how to become more naked. Yes. And more vulnerable. Right. I know for me it was hard. I had a wall about emotions. Like I was not the girl to cry until my wedding day. Yeah. And I looked ugly. You cried. Go watch that video. She went down. Go watch that video. But I wasn't the girl because I was rough and tough. Yeah. My afro puffs or whoop puff. Okay, anywho. I had to be. But and I said this in another video, is that I've just learned that I don't have to be loud. I don't have to be boisterous. Right. Because a will gives me a space to be vulnerable. And I think that's so important in a marriage because in a committed marriage, you have to build trust, you have to be vulnerable. You have to learn the uncomfortable things. Sorry, y'all, we're in the hallway, so if y'all hear people, it is what it is. But anywho, but we had to build that trust and that commitment through the next point is communication.
That we always talk about.
and we are, because it can grow cold, it can grow hot, it can grow stagnant. You have waves of communication, but if you're vulnerable enough and risky enough to expose your thoughts, your inner thoughts to the person next to you, it makes you see that person fully for who they truly are. I think some of the thoughts that I have that are not so pretty, I should say, I used to be afraid. I still sometimes it's still afraid to share that with you because I don't want you to see me in a different way, you know? But at the same time, who said this? I was listening to a podcast this week. She said, when you keep things hidden, and it hit me like a sword, I'm getting choked up. When you hide things, you allow the devil's playground to continue to take heed to that, right?
Yes.
But then when you say it and you confess it, or you speak it out loud, it makes it real.
Yes.
And it brings it to light. So therefore you can work with it, and you can work with it, hopefully with your spouse or with God.
Right.
And I think when you speak it out, Catholic Catholicism, they have confessionals. Do you? But I feel like that confessional, just with God alone, is when you speak out, I'm angry, or you speak out, I'm frustrated. Yeah. It makes it real, and it makes it, hopefully it allows you to deal with it. Right. Because when you don't deal with it, it frustrates you. Yes. It makes you an ugly person inside. It turns you like, I'm mad. What you mad about? That's why having a therapist is so good, because you get to talk these things out, and you're like, did I just say that? Is that how I feel? I have resentment? Really?
No way.
What? Not me. And it makes it real. And I know a lot of people like to deal in a world where things aren't real. We have social media. Deal with the real. Deal with the real. That's a show. Deal with the real. Because it'll help you at the end of the day, especially in your committed relationship, and it opens up so much more different communications with you and your spouse.
And the only thing I would say with me, problem with conversations, communication was having those uncomfortable conversations. Oh yeah. I never, just because it goes back to me not wanting to hurt Sierra, because you never know what comes out in those uncomfortable conversations if you're not prepared. So that's why you gotta go back to our YouTube video. Having uncomfortable conversations lead to imperfect love, because there is steps to make sure that when you communicate with a person, that you're not at the end of it pushing someone down or hurting someone. Yeah. Because we could say communicate, but some people use that as a tool to hurt the other person. This is true. And we just gotta make sure that we do it right.
I've always told people who ask me, like, how did you and Will work? And I said, well, I just one of the things is that we did communicate early on. When we first started dating, we were very I know I was upfront about what I desired and what I wanted, and Will would tell me a lot of no's, like, I don't do that, or nope, I don't want that, or you would tell me yes or no, and so it made us become more understanding of one another. But then the areas where we needed growth in, that's where we bumped a lot of heads, because we felt so comfortable with one another that we almost did not want to grow out of our little bubble of comfort. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so when God started pulling us, yo, I need you to do this, or hey, you need to do this, you need to step into this thing, you need to we both were like, but we're still so comfortable here. I don't wanna. And then of course God's telling you these things, and you're like, well, is he telling my spouse the same thing? Right. And some of the things are not the same. Some of the things are different. And so you're like, so in those moments, I had to go to God, and I had to ask God to give me the words to say to explain my desires and my wants to my husband. Yeah. And I will behoove anybody to do that. If you're premarital or you're married, go to God first. Right. Because he's the one who is hopefully guiding and directing you. And if he's not guiding and directing you, you better lean in on to him, because he'll help you distinguish, should I say that now, or should I say that for later? Or maybe I shouldn't be that quick to anger. Yeah, I was wrong that last time. Let me go apologize. I'm gonna work on that. And I had a lot of those realizations during our marriage. That was a lot of me right there, because I had to I got so mad about this. Why did I get so mad about this? Yeah, and I would get mad at myself. I'm like, why did you get so mad? It's daddy issues. A lot of it comes from daddy issues. At the end of the day, it has nothing to do with William. At the end of the day, it's all daddy issues. And I'm just still healing through it. I'm still walking through it. And I've heard someone say, you're not, everything that has made you, groomed you to who you are, you're not necessarily going to just leave back there and drop it off. Some things you carry with you, and God's forming and shaping you. The bag gets lighter, but you still got to carry that bag. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes when you allow God, oh, thank you, Jesus. When you allow God to carry it, it becomes a light burden. It appears every once in a while, because we're human. Yeah. We're a fallen world. We're human. But if you allow God to handle that and carry that for you, it allows you to be more vulnerable with yourself, one, but then also allows you to be more vulnerable with your spouse.
Oh, yes, it definitely does. And as we continue to communicate and learn each other, we lead to the next factor, and that's coordination. And basically, that's working together, using each other's special talents and abilities, using each other. We can't do it. That's when, oh my God, I don't know what was going on in my head thinking I could do everything. And then all the anxiety, all the pressure I put on my life for no reason. Yeah. When Sierra definitely has the skills to do things as well. Yeah. And that just leads back to, like I said, I didn't like working with groups. I didn't value other people's abilities. I didn't really their talents.
Because you thought you was the stuff. Because you was a jerk.
Well, you the one used to.
He was a jerk.
This is her joke with mine.
He was a jerk. He was a jerk.
I want to let her finish.
He was a jerk. Hey.
You done?
I'm finished.
So there's a goofy thing she likes to do with me, and she's you just think you know everything. You just think you know.
Honey.
I'm Mr. President. I know everything.
I know everything.
So that gets in your head, like, I guess I know everything. That means I
know. Oh, you put that on me? Oh, okay. All right. That's what we were doing. Okay. No, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. No.
I didn't take heed to Ephesians 4:16, where it says, "For his body has been formed in his image and is closely joined together and constantly connected as one. And every member has been given divine gifts to contribute to the growth of all. And these gifts operate effectively throughout the whole body. We are built up and made perfect in love." Come on, Ephesians 4:16.
Leave it in.
We got to use each other's ability. And that, that even goes past marriages, like your family members, your friends. If you feel like, oh my God, I got to do everything. Why?
If you try to control everything, then that's another problem.
So one thing with us,
I had that problem.
I'm gonna be hot. One thing with us, me and Sierra are that we're the friends that can plan stuff.
Oh, you about to be hot?
Hot.
Bless it.
So it got frustrated after a while. I was like, why always gotta be the ones that plan stuff? Then we had to really accept that's just who we are. We're just good at planning things. Like, all right, this day we're gonna do this. This day we're gonna do this. Now we're not fixing that. But at least we have some idea of what we think the day should look like. Then we have those friends who are they're the ones that can find the entertainment. They're the ones more talkative.
Yeah.
You got some that know how to handle the budget better. You got some people, everyone has those different talents. So even if you're not even married or in a relationship, your friends, and your family members, you need to be able to use each other so that you don't feel like you're doing everything, so that you can take some of that pressure off you in life.
Mm-hmm. And when Will says use, I don't know, for me, it's giving me like a weird feeling. I think it's more of leaning on one another. Because when you lean, you're still independent, right? Yeah. But when you lean, you get that extra support to kind of help you stay upright. Yeah. And I think that's, if you can use or lean, you just lean it. Getting a little assistance here and there to get you through whatever you're going through. And I think if we as a culture and as a people of God do that in a general sense, especially with marriage too, that's why we do Marriage Starter Kit. Yeah. Because it's things that like that we talked about, and people have said to us, like, you know what y'all said in this video, it like volumes, and I didn't realize it. And then I'm like, they've been married longer than we have, and they're like, we didn't even know, like we didn't even think about that. Oh, that's us building each other up. Yeah. That's us phone. We all have talents. We all have things that are wonderful, and I think that we need to celebrate that more. But like, girl, you good at that? Come help me do this, girl. And we lean on one another and not be so boastful and not be so opinionated or judgmental, but love on one another. Yes. It's just love. That's all it is.
That's all it is. Made in perfect love. That's what it says.
Perfect love. That's all it is. That's all it is. The next one is consideration. Considering the other's feelings, interests, needs, desires, and preferences. Blessed, blessed assurance.
Read 1 Peter 3:7.
Okay. The same goes for you, husbands. Be good husbands to your wives. Honor them. Delight in them. As women, they lack some of your advantages, but in the new life of God's grace, you're equals. Well, come on.
That's why I told you to read it.
Treat your wives then as equals, so your prayers don't run aground. Oh, that was nasty. He said, hold on. As women, they lack some of your advantages, but in the new life of God's grace, you're equals. I don't want to hear nobody else say.
Treat your wives.
Just that. Equals. Okay, I'm done.
But it keeps saying, because it treats your wives then as equals, so your prayers don't run aground. Lack of consideration blocks your blessing. People didn't realize that. Why? I feel like God's not answering me. How many people have you stepped over to get what you want?
You get it real nasty.
How many people have you manipulated out of their hard-earned money? Like, why I feel like I'm by myself? Why do I feel like God's not calling me? Pastor Mike went all the way back to we sitting there like, why is God blocking blessings, but we're stealing paper from our offices? Like, lack of consideration blocks your blessings. And especially in marriage, I don't think we had that issue, but there may be like small ones where like your preference doesn't matter. I don't care what you need. I don't care what you desire. I want to do this. Get on board or be gone. I actually had that a lot sometimes in certain situations because I thought Will was being stubborn. Come to find out, he was being stubborn. I thought it was just me, but he actually was being stubborn. And it's like, I don't know. And I'm like, come on, husband, you'll enjoy this. Trust me. I don't know. I'm like, just try. I say, if you don't like it, you can leave, you can go, whatever the case may be, but at least just try. But then he tries, and he's like, okay, I kind of like it. Okay, then deal. Well, some of it wasn't my fault. I think one of the biggest one was when you had an event and it was all females, and you still wanted me to go, and then 9 out of 10 times, I want to be the only guy there.
Well,
I tried to tell you I didn't want to go because I knew it was going to happen.
But I was told they were bringing their husbands.
They might bring their husbands.
I was told.
They just like me not wanting to go. And then when we get there, he said he didn't want to go.
I was
not feeling well.
It wasn't like,
I'm turning this into girls' night. They going to take care of the kids. I told him to stay home. And they're like, why is Will here?
And that was not my fault.
I know.
Because I asked. I said, y'all bring your husbands? Okay, cool. They bring your boyfriends? Good. We get there, and Will is the only guy. It has happened 3 times. More, maybe 4, maybe 5.
I just sit there, eat my dinner, and get on my phone. She learned. God. She got better, though. She got better.
I'm trying to get better.
You got better. There's times down recently where you're just like, you stay home. I know no guy gonna be there.
And then I tell him when I get there, like one dude showed up. He's like, oh, well, isn't that wonderful? He's me. He's me.
It wasn't me. But yeah, consider each other's feelings, please, guys. Especially, I know that verse was more to the husbands. It goes back and forth, but we do know my stubborn butt. I know how to get better, and I got better. Thank you, God.
Yeah. And then also, I know one of the big things for us is that my job is so demanding, but I didn't really realize how demanding Will's job had become. I did not realize it. And so I was still thinking he could just do, everything he'd been doing. I'm like, bro, you're slacking. He's like, no, I'm tired. And I'm like, really, you that tired? You like that tired? He's like, no, I'm tired. And so when I started realizing in the patterns, it's like, God, show me. He said, I don't want to be an insensitive wife. I kept telling him, I was like, God, I don't want to be insensitive. So show me. And I actually would sit back and I purposely sat back and listened to his day. Or I sat back and really thought about everything that he had to do or everything that then he would bring work home. I always bring work home. So to me, it's nothing. But for him, outside of the, whole 12-hour shift, I feel like you have had work, but it's really not 12-hour shift, but y'all know what I mean.
You get up at 4, it feels like it.
Yeah. So it's just like, and so I had to really take that into consideration. And another thing I want to say on top of that is some of Will's weaknesses, I cannot, what's the word I want to say? I had to learn, and I'm still learning how not to fault him for that. Does that make sense? He could be weak in one area, and I'm like,
I'm bad with directions. I'm sorry. I don't know why. I'm horrible. And I'm not going to be one of those guys I can figure this out. No, I do not want to get lost. I have no desire to get lost.
So old Sierra be mad the whole time because he couldn't figure out, we've been here 4 times. You still ain't got here right? And then new Sierra has to be like, William, remember, when you come this way, you got to go X, Y, and Z, turn da-da-da-da-da. So in a way, I kind of, and the funny thing is when I remind you, oh yeah, that's right, that's how I get there. I didn't have to tell him the whole instruction just because I gave him a little
boost,
a little lean,
special talent, ability,
whatever. It allows him to continue on. He's like, oh yeah, I remember, and I go this street, that street. Perfect. All right, I see you here in about 5 minutes. Boom, 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 and we move on. Yeah. That would have been a whole argument for a whole 2 days.
I can't remember.
8 years ago. But I had to learn, like, don't fault him because he's bad at directions. Like, help him. You are supposed to be his helpmate. You're supposed to be his teammate, right?
Yes.
Step up, you know? He has a good heart. I mean, he has good intentions. That's another thing, too. I think that's another frustrating part about being married is when you realize the person does not have good intentions. Then you have to make other arrangements.
Yeah.
Because that means you're in a relationship by yourself. If they don't have good intentions, just as you do, to grow and to lean and to help one another. And so we want to make sure that we stay a team so that we can continue to grow and show other generations how to do marriage the right way with God, you know, with God.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And as we grow and try to help other generations, we have to have clarity. The final factor. We have to have clarity. We have to have clear visions, goals, and plans. Mm-hmm. One thing, we had a guest pastor. I think it was two or 3 weeks ago by the time you're watching this, and he said that your desires will become God's desires. No,
it's the opposite. God's desires becomes your desires. Right. Hence, example, you desired what we're doing because you heard something. I ain't hear it. You understand me? I ain't hear it. I knew it, but I ain't hear it, right? So then I had to lean on God's understanding of what you envisioned. By me leaning on his understanding and the position that he has for us and the growth he has allowed us to inhabit these past couple of years made me have a different desire than I didn't have. Before. So my desires now are his desires because he gave to you, but I had to go back to him. Ooh, that's a word. That's a word. Don't just lean on that one. You gotta go back to the source and say, show me. I need you to show me. Why did I go grandma on that one? Show me. Why did I go grandma on that? Show me what you showed him. Because right now, I don't see it. I don't see how this is going to happen. But show me. Because I need to know if it's real, if this is real. And if I don't see it, if you want me to be involved, okay. So how you want me to be involved in this? Because I don't know. But that's a perfect example of God's desires become your desires.
Yeah, because, that's what I should have said. Yeah. And you just got to make sure, and I'm saying this when you get married or been married, when you're thinking about plans or visions, goals, and it can change, you got to clear it with God. I feel like you got to clear it with God. Yeah. Because you can sit there and make every plan out there, but if they're not ordered by God, they're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. So that's why it's very important to have clear vision, but at the same time come together as a team, grab each other's hand like, God, this is what we're planning, but mold it, shape it, design it so that it could be what your will needs to be done. Definitely in marriage. But then that would just make things so much easier, much clearer as you work. It's like with this pleasant love, no matter what we have going on, this is a part of the day that this just feels right because God is leading us through this as we sow in the seeds. Yeah. And what I love about after you take care of all the 5 C's, it leads you to contentment, final C, and basically peace. And we're not talking about peace in the sense of utopia, nothing's wrong, birds are chirping. No, peace in the sense that where we're at right now in our relationship, and I hope God, we're not done, we're still going. But I love that in our relationship, we got to the point where, hey, look, this is a small, it could be even big. Hiccup, roadblock, obstacle, but we know that we got each other's back through it. I don't feel alone anytime a situation comes up. I felt alone because I didn't trust Sierra. I felt alone because I felt like I was the man. I was supposed to do everything by myself. That you shouldn't feel alone in a marriage. You should feel some sense of contentment, some sense of peace, knowing that you have someone there to fight your battle and through anything that's about to come.
Let's read Hebrews 10:24-25. Let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works, And let us not neglect our meeting together, as some people do, but encourage one another, especially now that the day of his return is drawing near.
Yes.
I think I have been on a quest, if you will, since COVID and since the pandemic.
Yes.
To reconnect with people that has played a major part in my life, and figure out either what went wrong or accept why it went wrong, versus just burying it and not really dealing with the emotions behind it. Because I want to be so much more clear out of my head, so that when I'm with God and when I'm spending time with God, I'm able to really give him my all. I feel like those extra backs I carry cloud my ability to hear him and his direction, and be vulnerable with him and spend time with him and really just give him my all, and allowing those burdens and those hiccups to cloud my judgment, cloud my ability to even spend time with God. It feels like it limits me. Like I'm trying to reach towards going forward, but I can't if I don't spend time with him. Yes. And I think this whole entire year, we've been intentional about that. And that contentment, if you will, or that peace that we have comes from our time that we have purposely, intentionally made time for God in our life, versus, I believe in God, he good. Mm-hmm. No. Have you actually really just sat in a room or sat in your car and just listen to God music, or listen to, or just listen to God, or just talk to God? I feel like crap. I hate my job. What you gonna do about it, God? Because I don't know. Have you just been that vulnerable with him? And so I always encourage people, married, not married, single, engaged, you have to form a relationship with God before you continue any relationship, either marital, business, whatever it is, because with him being that one of the verses we read today, these three people, and you have the cord, right? And it's unbreakable. Well, then you have that cord, and with that cord, you're able to continue on. And of course, if you're anchored, we've been talking about anchored all year, and you're anchored in God, baby, you good. Ain't nothing gonna break you or your relationship, okay? And so anchored in God, and that let the Holy Spirit guide you, and you just keep going. And so we just want to encourage you guys to keep going. And I want to also say this on the other side of contentment. Some people would say contentment is boring. Contentment it's not exciting. Oh, Lord, let me break this down. Because I thought that too. I was like, it's boring. But when we say contentment, it's the knowing, for me, it's the knowing that your relationship is rooted in a source that's unbreakable. Yes. And that's the contentment. Not, I'm going to be bored because we just going to sit on the couch every Saturday. No. Or, he never go. That's another different. That's a whole. We talking about contentment.
That's complacent.
That's
being complacent.
That's the whole nother different situation.
That's another C.
You don't want to be complacent. In a committed, content relationship, and so, but don't get content in a horrible situation or a bad situation that's not good for you, your spouse, or your kids. No. That's not healthy at all. Going to a therapist, or finding a group of people that you can talk to and be vulnerable with to help you go through those things. Or if you need a therapist, go to a therapist. There's sources out there, and we just have to lean on one another to get through whatever you're going through. So don't feel shame. Don't feel like I got it all together. The quicker you can find the solution, the better you can grow, and the faster you can grow in your purpose with God. So I think we both come to the realization, man, we should have done this a whole lot sooner. But God has his timing for everything.
Yeah. And I think for me, and I know there's some people probably like me where, like the verse says, you got to motivate one another to actually love and good works. I didn't like cheerleaders for some reason. I wasn't that and even hard for me now, where it's just the people that and it sounds so weird for me. Just like I don't feel like I'm worthy of that praise. I don't feel the worthy of that motivation. So it was hard for me to accept that from Sierra. Like, you got this, keep going, motivated. Yeah, we're learning, and I don't know what it is, and anybody that's like that out there, accept it. It's gonna be uncomfortable. Like, I even have people now like, hey man, I see you on there, your TikToks, I see your reels, and I'm just like, okay, like, I appreciate it. And they're like, man, you doing it, keep going. I was like, okay, like, go away. I don't want the spotlight. It's hard because I'm not used to that. I'm not like, so definitely, I'm not trying to.
I have a question. Why do you think it's hard for you to accept praise or?
There's a part of you just don't feel worthy for that. And,
well, in a way,
and I always want to do.
It's healthy though. In a way, that's kind of healthy.
And there's a part of Christianity where you're supposed to be humble, and it's hard for me to be like, okay, I never want to get to a point where I'm doing this and I take credit for it. I want to do a point where God only just want to get credit for it.
Yeah.
My humor, He created my humor.
Yeah.
He created my speaking skills. He gave me the power to interject or engage audiences.
Yeah.
He is about Him. So if they're giving me too much praise, I'm like, all right, it's like, that's enough. Like, all right, let's put the focus back. I never want my ego to get so big where I forget the purpose of this is for God.
Because back in the day, he had a big old head. This is why he has learned to be more humble and not boast and gloat. I think that's just
I have no problem motivating others.
No, it's a bloodline thing
where
you boast about what you have, but you're not doing nothing.
Yeah.
You're just sitting there.
What's your fruits?
You just sitting there. I got it. But what you doing with it though?
I always wonder.
Who you blessing?
I don't, because that's what he said. If too much of it, that contentment becomes complacent. Oh, I don't need to do anymore. I got this. I'm the ish. Like,
I'm the ish.
I'm not that there yet. And what's cool about contentment, and I think where you got it wrong was there's waves, there's seasons. There's gonna be seasons where you rest. Yeah. And it's okay. Yeah. You earned the rest. Be okay. I know some people are like, oh man, I took a weekend off. That was no, man. You might have to take a few months off. Like,
sabbatical. That's what they call it. That was sabbatical.
Like, this is the first pastor that showed that, hey, it's okay. I'm gonna take a break. Hey, I just had a baby. I'm about to take 3 months off. You're like, what?
Wait, what? That doesn't happen. How does that work?
My priority is my family. I love the church, but my priority is my family. God gave me this gift that I need to obtain and keep hold of and make sure they're all right. So I got this. We got a lot of leaders there. They can preach.
And being able to lean on one another. It's just so much the body of Christ.
That's why he could do it, because he leans. He's able to trust his team that they're going to do all right. The church is going to be all right when he comes back.
If they establish good relationships.
That's where we have to get to the point where I could trust our household. Whether one of us falls for whatever reason, God forbid, it's going to be all right when we come back. Yeah.
Well, I hope y'all like the scenery.
It's a little dark, but because of the rain clouds.
Thank you, La Quinta. Anywho, appreciate the hallway. Hallelujah. But we thank y'all for joining us on this podcast on A Pleasant Connection, and we thank you all who are watching it on A Pleasant Love on our YouTube channel, Facebook, and now on IGTV on Instagram. So go check it out there. Leave your comments, your questions. If you have a question and you want us to explore it, leave it on there or send us a DM or an email, and we'll get back to you guys. But we thank you, Lord. Thank you guys for joining us, and we love you. Y'all have a great day and a pleasant day. We love y'all. Bye.
Bye.